First franchise to Belize. And so we're proud that
Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome to One and One with Tricia Logan. Today, I have a story that's very delicate. And this, I'm having with me the breaking story or breaking silence of Opal Enriquez.
Cut.
And
Cut. Am I live?
yes,
We're
you
live,
are.
we can't cut.
We can't cut because I'm live. Okay, I'm talking to you.
What happened?
No, I honestly don't want it to, and I don't mean to cut you off. I didn't realize we were live. I thought this was going to be pre-recorded. I don't want it to sound like, oh wow, the silence is probably broken. We're going to hear the this big production of let's get the other side of the story. I really don't want it to come off that way. Just because of what I told you earlier about Belizeans tend to go to the
No,
negative.
but that's the thing. We are breaking, in a sense, you are breaking silence, meaning you're saying, you're talking. This is, we can't just cut off.
My apologies. Sorry, guys. I didn't know we were live. I'm sorry about that.
Yeah. So yeah, we can't just do that. But when we say breaking silence, meaning you didn't talk to anybody. You're telling part of your story right now. So that's kind of breaking silence.
Alrighty.
Okay.
All right. I'll be quiet. Go ahead.
Okay. So we can't cut off immediately.
All right.
But anyway, are we on, Farron? Okay. So basically, what we want to talk about is I know you for many years, Opal.
Mm-hmm.
I know you for over 9 years since I've been working through the council. As far as I know, you're a wonderful person. And this story on us, we're not knocking anybody.
All right.
The story is all about you've been accused of some awful things. And a lot of people, a lot of Belizeans actually want to hear what you have to say. I mean, you're not out there defending or insulting. Rebecca is a wonderful person. She represented Belize. All of us love her for representing Belize. I'm pretty sure you did. You have your up and down with every girl that you work with, I'm pretty sure, not only Rebecca. And what we want to do is let them know who Opal Enriquez is.
Fair enough. How do I answer that? I'm just a proud Belizean. I think over anything else, I'm simply a proud Belizean and want to see our country, move into a place where we're no longer considered third world. And I know that's a big dream to have, but if I didn't build from one big dream to another, we never would have made it to Miss Universe.
Okay.
So, the grand scheme of the bigger dream is for Belize to no longer be considered third world. I haven't derived or contrived a plan as to how I'm going to accomplish that, but next on the agenda, maybe. But in essence, who I am, I'm just a proud Belizean who really wants to see my country do well in anything that we do.
And I know in one interview you had previously with someone else, you always mention you have the best of two worlds.
Yeah.
You're in Belize, you're in America, so basically Belizean American, as we all call people. And you've been in this business for over 20 years,
That's
am
right.
I right?
That's right.
And you have a son who's 9 years old. And tell me, what made you want to go back to Belize? Because obviously we were out of the Miss Universe for over 10 years. And thanks to you, Miss Rebecca Roth went and represented us in the Miss Universe. What made you make that decision to have us back on the map?
Well, I've been in, like you said, in the pageant industry for over 20 years, and as a pageant fan, really, I watched the pageant, and for the longest time, we didn't see Belize up there. Like, we just weren't there. You'd watch, and we'd cheer for Jamaica, we'd cheer for Dominican Republic, we'd cheer for any neighboring country that was doing well because we just weren't there. And I just thought, why not? Why pick everybody else? Why not pick ourselves? So I owned a modeling agency here in Los Angeles, and I was working in the entertainment industry. And I talked to a friend of mine who was one of my business partners with Orson Elrington, and he was like, "Why don't you just come do here what you do there?" And I had already represented Belize in Costa Maya. I had already helped the former director, Margaret Johnson, with her pageant. And I was like, you know what? Why not? I'll go ahead and I'll do this. And it took a lot of years of sacrifice. And I think that's the part that I don't talk about, because when you're Hollywood and entertainment trained, you keep behind the scenes, right? You never show the seams in the shirt. You want it to be seamless. But I think people underestimate how much of a sacrifice it really is for us as Belizean Americans, as a part of the diaspora community, to take away from the lives that we created here to go do the things that we do there.
Okay.
Every time I have to fly to Belize, I have to take off work. It's time away from my son, who he actually accompanied me last time, and now he wants to spend every summer in Belize because he loved it. But I take away from my job, I take away from my income, I take away from the family and friends that I have here, from my relationships, and it's something that I've done for years willingly.
That's something that you love to do, and giving back to our country.
Exactly. It's really about giving to Belize, and I enjoy doing it, and I'll do it again.
Okay. And the thing about it is that you never represented Belize as Miss Universe, but however, you did win as Miss California Caribbean, and you also did Miss Pan American International.
Right. Yeah, I won that one.
You won that one too, right? And also, with that one, that was the biggest thing that Belize ever have been represented in, and you won that pageant.
To date. Yeah.
Up to date, right?
To date.
Yeah. So, I know this is something that's very touchy, and I know we're ready to go into it a little bit, because this is the reason we're here. And you've heard about the story, The Rocky Road to Miss Universe by Mr. Tony Rapp, right?
Oh, yeah.
And so this is a big issue in Belize, all over, to us all Belizeans,
Right.
because he has accused you of so much appalling things, I would say. And, I'm giving you the opportunity to say your side of the story. I mean, I'm not asking you to knock Mr. Rath. We're not here for that.
Right.
Basically, he, quote unquote, he had mentioned, appalling, narcissistic, and bizarre, bullying, and manipulative. He's called you those names. What would you say to that?
Thank you.
Really? And may I ask, why would you say thank you?
I say thank you. Simply because I'm a huge fan of Tony Rath, and this is like, maybe that's the twisted side of the story, right? I'm a big Tony Rath fan.
Because
Tony,
he's actually a photographer, well-known journalist.
He was a judge for my 2012 pageant.
Oh, okay.
And I don't know how many people know or don't know that. Even prior to the 2012 pageant, I was like, I need a photographer. I want the best. I want Tony Rath. And so when Rebecca actually signed up to do the pageant, I had previously asked Tony to be the official photographer for the next pageant. So when his daughter signed up to compete, I was like, Tony, I'm sorry, I can't be your friend right now because Rebecca is a contestant. So
conflict of interest,
right? So when she actually won, and Tony, volunteered to be on board as a photographer and to handle the social media along with his wife, Teresa, I was so excited. I was like, wow, this is great, because I didn't really look at them solely as Rebecca's parents. They volunteered as part of the organization. They volunteered to be sponsored.
That's not what we heard.
Of course.
That's not what we heard. We heard that, I guess you had hired a photographer before, and they didn't provide anything because you didn't pay them, or that's the thing that we're hearing.
Of course.
So he had to jump in and cover, basically here. I can't say the word.
Right.
But anyway, so what do you say to that?
And to that I say, correct. There were photographers hired. They were sponsored by a third party, a gentleman by the name of Insp Alliance, who was actually a judge for the pageant because he came on as a platinum sponsor. And Insp he was the only sponsor on our list of platinum sponsors who did not follow through. with what he said he was going to do. And it was very, very disappointing because, you know, I like to believe in the good in people when they say they're going to do something. And I've been in this game a long time, so, you know, I understand that things don't happen when they're supposed to.
A lot of times. That's
Especially
right.
when you do it in production, even in the Oscars. You know, even Miss Universe themselves, they've had to push their pageant back several times because of lack of sponsorship or people not coming through or not following through with things that they said they were going to do. However, you know, I just was hoping that Mr. Lyons would follow through. And it was never, and I want to make this very, very, very clear. It was never my financial responsibility to pay the photographers. The sponsor signed on to sponsor the entire camera crew and also to pay the entrance fee for Miss Universe. That was his obligation or his pledge as a sponsor. When that did not happen, you know, we still needed pictures. Now, there are countless photographers in Belize. We all know this.
That's right.
Right? I could have called another photographer. Tony stepped up because he wanted to do
Be a
the
part
pictures.
of this,
Right?
especially his daughter was involved.
And there were other photographers who actually supplementally, you know, took pictures of Rebecca. But what was not said is that Tony did photographs of Destiny for when she did Costa Maya, and they were beautiful. So I was already familiar with his work and happy with it. So when he said, I'll do the pictures, I said, why not?
Exactly.
You know, and it wasn't about, and if it was a position where he was like, I'm only doing this to cover you, I would have gone with another photographer. I would have said thank you, but no thank you. Because there are other people that there's a pool of photographers in Belize who stepped up to volunteer to photograph Rebecca. I mean, after all, she's beautiful.
She is.
And she was Miss Belize Universe.
Yes.
So, of course, people want to take her picture. And, you know, it's comments like that, like, please don't volunteer to help me if you're going to turn around and say, well, I did this because blah, blah. That's not cool.
That's right.
You know?
And we did get a lot of that. And I'm pretty sure that a lot of people was, you know, wondering why would you do that, or why would you, you know, not have being organized after you've been in this situation for over 20 years. This is supposed to have been properly
and I 100%
organized.
agree. I do. But like I said, we didn't anticipate that happening at all, especially since it was our first year back at Miss Universe. It was like, let's keep behind the scenes, and let's just move forward as best we can, you know? And he was there. He stepped up to do the job, and again, I say thank you. But you know, had you come to me, it's like somebody, you know, saying, "Oh, something's wrong with you. I'm gonna help you out. Here you go. I'm gonna give you $150. Here you go. Take the money. Do what you have to do, and then come back and be like, oh yeah, I had to do this, and I had to bail her out." Who wants to be in that situation?
That's right.
You know, that's not.
And he also mentioned about a specific, let me quote on him, by failing to live up to specific monetary commitments related to the pageant and actively bad-mouthing Rebecca. Actually, based on what I've read, because believe me, I've read all the story that he wrote and all that.
Right.
So basically, he was saying that Rebecca lost or didn't make it into the 13 contestants due to you bad-mouthing Rebecca. What would you say? You know, I don't know, take a breather.
No, Tricia, you've known me for years.
I know you for years, yes, that's
And
correct.
one of the things that you know about me is I pay no credence to certain things, you know, and in all of my years as a pageant director, I would like to know how would it serve me, you know, to quote unquote sabotage a contestant after we worked 10 years.
So hard.
To get
That's what
there.
I'm trying to figure out.
You know, I always tell my queens, whenever you look good, I look good.
That's
and
right.
vice versa, right? And I did write a statement in regards to, you know, just little things that were said. But I will say this, on behalf of the integrity of the Miss Universe organization, I personally think that is an insult to them. You know, that is a discredit to their judges. It's a discredit to the 65 years and the millions of dollars that they spend on putting on that production, because Miss Universe will be the first to tell you our winner is decided based on scored categories.
Okay.
Right? And I appreciate the compliment, but I'm just not that powerful.
No. Okay. Yeah.
I
Because-
really appreciate the compliment, and nowhere in any kind of minutia of power that I might possess am I that powerful to be able to say my contestant is not going to win because of something that I said about her, which I did not badmouth the girl. So we could start with that as just not being the truth.
True.
But outside of that, Miss Universe is has a reputation of 65 years of experience, the most credible judges, and millions of dollars spent, 86 countries. Do you think they would, even if I did, do you think they would really listen to what I had to say? And not only that, there were so many bloggers that wrote that, Rebecca placed 14th, Rebecca placed this. The scores for Miss Universe, as confirmed by Miss Universe, are never revealed.
So you never know what.
So, and there
level
was
they
no,
would be at.
so they wouldn't place like this contestant placed 25 or this contestant placed 24th. Those scores are locked. They're not revealed. So there was no 14th place. But it just shows to prove that people take whatever information that they think they can acquire and make a story out of it. I would say I have a tremendous amount of respect for Tony Rath and the work that he does, and this thing was very well written. I'll give him that. Like, I read it and I was like, wow, who is this girl?
Yeah, I know.
Like, who is this woman? I want to meet her. But it's like the inaccuracies of it are just definitely visible, I think. And I thank him for taking the time to really write all of that. But it's just not. It's just not that way. So
The other situation, you have how many contestants usually, approximately? When you
we always start with there's so many people who apply, so many girls who come to the audition, so many girls who stay for the first couple of rehearsals, and then they tap out. So somehow we always end up with a magic number of 10. I don't know why. I'm hoping when we do it again, which we're not having a pageant for 2017, I know we're going to touch on that later.
Yes.
When we do it again, that we will have more contestants, because my magic number seems to be 10. It's
10.
been 10 the last 3 pageants. So.
Okay. When you get these girls, how do you interact with them? Do you give one person a special treatment than the other? Because apparently you bullied Rebecca, and then you treated the others differently or better. So how do you treat your girls? I know there was a quote from you that says, "I may be tough, but I'm fair."
Right.
That's how I know you because you always speak your mind. So, but how do you deal with each individual contestant?
I find it always interesting. Like there's a clip that I watched with one of my idols, Naomi Campbell, where, and I don't know if Farron can pull this clip up. It was where she was talking to 2 girls who auditioned for her modeling competition. And, they were expressing their hardships and blah, blah, blah. And she looked them dead in the face and she said, if I express to you my hardship and everything that I did to get to where I am, it would be like I'm expecting you to feel sorry for me. Everybody has a story. Everybody has a struggle. But everybody also has an opportunity. And when those girls come to me, it is an equal opportunity. The playing field is leveled. That's one of the reasons why we do a nationwide casting, because we want anybody from anywhere of the country of Belize to be able to have this opportunity. And I always find it interesting when they say, I bully one girl or I favor another girl, because if you ask the girls who were in the competition or the people who are watching, they would have told you that I favored Rebecca. So,
Really?
oh yeah. They'd be like, oh, well, the pageant is rigged for Rebecca to win. And first of all, the pageant is always rigged.
That's what they always say. That's even for the contestants out here too.
Yeah. Every pageant is always rigged. The winner is always pre-decided. The judges are never fair, and the director is always either mean, nasty, disorganized, or picking favorites.
I've
So
heard those
it is
before.
the nature of being in the pageant industry, and I always joke with my friends whenever I talk about the pageants that I do. I said, you know, I wrote my own death certificate when I took on this job.
What does
It
that
is
mean?
it's a thankless job, you know. But the bottom line is somebody's got to do it,
That's right.
and we would not be where we are if somebody didn't do it. If myself and my partners and all of our sponsors didn't get together and say, you know what, we know there's going to be a lot of negativity, but take 1 second and look at the positivity. Look at the fact that every time Belize is on an international stage, and I don't just mean Miss Universe, I mean when Destiny went up for Costa Maya and won, it's like the morale boost that the country gets, the pride that we feel, you know, and I just wonder, why do we keep shooting ourselves in the foot?
That's
You know, why do we keep doing that? I will be the first to admit that I'm far from perfect, but when it comes to my interaction with the young ladies, they know my expectations because I make them abundantly clear. They know that, and I always tell you, you are your mother's baby, not mine. Okay? You're not here for me to baby you. It is my job to teach you what it is that you need to know to present yourself well on stage. And if you haven't developed the grit, the stamina, the endurance, and the thick skin to handle being in a small environment like Belize, how do you expect to survive on an international stage?
That's
Nobody's
right.
going to feel sorry for you. Nobody's going to want to hear you cry. Your mommy and daddy are not going to be on stage with you. It does not work that way. You know, like you said earlier, I don't know what it's like to be a contestant in Miss Universe. But I've worked in the industry for a long time. I know what it's like to audition against 500 girls
That's
for
right.
7 spots and get the job.
Done. Yeah.
And at no point did I go crying to my mama. At no point did I say the choreographer bullied me. You know, at no point did I play a victim. You know, and you just don't get fired by doing that. So it takes a very strong person. It takes a very dedicated person. It takes a certain level of confidence, you know, that we are there to build, that we are there to boost your self-esteem. And I told the girls all the time, you're not here to hold hands and sing Kumbaya. I love that you made friends with each other. That's wonderful.
They could support each
that
other.
can support each other, and I
become
love.
friends.
But this is a competition.
You're
Because
competing
guess
against
what's-
each other.
Guess what Miss Universe is? It's a competition. So, you know, when I was reading Tony Rath's story, and he was like, Opal told Rebecca to take up all the closet space. That is not what I told that child.
I was gonna bring
You
that
know,
up too.
I mean, come on now. That is
I was
not
gonna bring
what I
that
said
up
to her.
too.
I told Rebecca, I said, put your stuff away since you got there first. You know, that way there won't be chaos when the other girl comes in. But take up all the closet space and be hog and be greedy. I was like, tuck your stuff under the bed, put your shoes away, hide your evening gown. You know, these are standard things that you do in an international competition. You're going to be living with this person for weeks. You have to make sure that your area is designated. But, you know, with all due respect to Tony Rath, what experience do you have in this arena?
Yes,
You
this
know,
is his first time
This
he
is
ever
your
been.
first time in a pageant. God
pageant,
bless you.
yes.
Thank you for the story that you wrote. But dare I say I have a little bit of knowledge of what I'm doing. You know, dare I say it, I know it might sound narcissistic or cocky or whatever, but I've been a contestant, I've been a judge, I've been a director, I've been a choreographer. I have had several roles in this industry. So
you
I
played it all
kind
over.
of able to give any one of my queens, any one of our representatives, a little bit of insight of information that you probably can't. If I had a question about photography, I would call you for your expertise. But, okay.
So let me tell you something. So when you're training these girls and they're, let's say they start crying, you know, they can't handle it. What do? Do you fire them? Do you tell them, this is not a job for you. Next, what?
They kind of decide that for
For
themselves.
themselves. Okay.
You know, they kind of decide.
Have you
that for
ever
themselves.
had a time that you had to tell someone this is not for you?
No.
Never.
Honestly, no, because I understand that when we're in Belize, self-esteem and confidence for young women is an area that needs a lot of development. You know,
That's something that Mr. Roth mentioned,
Right.
that you kind of break down these girls, or his daughter, that you brought down her low esteem, self-esteem, to the bottom, to the actual ground. So,
and what was missing is that, you know, you're getting ready for something that is a major change in your life. When your personal training, you know, when you're on a weight loss program, how many times does your trainer push you to your point
Right.
where you're just like, I can't do it anymore. I'm walking
That's
away.
right.
I know you can't have any more water. Yes, you're gonna climb these next 10 steps. You know,
That's right.
you can, you know, I understand
So you're
that this
fierce.
is tough for you. I wouldn't use the word fears, but I want to make a clear message that you're going to have to push yourself, that you're going to have to challenge yourself, that, you know, yeah, it is, that you're going to be, you know, outside of your comfort zone. So yes, when these girls come together and, you know, you're used to being with your parents and you're used to being with your family, you're used to everybody telling you that you're the prettiest girl in
Yes.
the world, and all of a sudden it's like, I'm not the only one, but there can only be one.
That's right.
And once that becomes real to you, and it was interesting because I watched the director of Miss USA, she said it to the girls. She was like, the exact same thing. Now, I've only had one conversation with Lou, who is the choreographer for Miss Universe, in my life, but I heard Lou say it, you're not here to hold hands and sing Kumbaya. It's a competition. And I'm going, oh my God, I said that before.
I've heard you
Right.
say that before.
So, you know, obviously, this is the nature of the industry. It is not to body shame anybody. It is not to make you feel small. It's not for you to say, oh my God, she doesn't like me, or I'm being bullied. That is not the case. It's about you understanding this is a test of endurance. You know, every time I have to deal with a sponsor who doesn't follow through, or I've got to move things around, or I have to jump on a plane to go to Belize and leave behind my job and my child, it's a test of endurance for me. You know, but guess what? We can do this together.
That's right.
You know, we can do this together. So, you know, in reading this story and this whole, we kept Rebecca away from Enriquez, and we didn't want her to feel bad about herself. We didn't want Opal to ruin her self-esteem. I'm like, you kept Rebecca from the person who believed in her the most. You kept Rebecca from the person who was going to push her the hardest, who was going to say, Rebecca, you can do this. I know it's going to be tough. I know the road is hard, but guess what? We can do this together.
That's right.
You know? So it was like you deprived both of us of this opportunity. You know, I always laugh and refer to my little girl, Destiny. I love her to death. You know, whenever Destiny and I work together, we're not going to tell you every day was perfect. But that child had her own blanket. She has her own set of towels. She has her own toothbrush at my house. Because we knew from day one, we're in this together.
That's
And the child came out with 2 international crowns.
wow.
So, you know, I want that opportunity for all of the girls who represent Believe. And the beauty of it, it doesn't have to be me. You know, whoever decides that they want to be in this role, you got to understand that you, the director to contestant to winner, relationship is sacred. And it cannot be compromised. So you guys really have to understand that you're in that fight together. And the end result is about watching her live her dream. You know, I ask for no credit, I ask for no gratitude. I don't care. This is not about me. This is about seeing Belize on that stage. This is about giving somebody an opportunity that they otherwise think that they could not have.
I wanted to ask you about, apparently Rebecca didn't receive all what she was promised as Miss Belize Universe, going to the Universe pageant, and that was a major issue. apparently to her parents, to her, and obviously us, Belizean wants to know. What happened about that? Did she receive everything that she was supposed to receive? Did she not? What happened?
For that, I'm gonna say read the press release. It's all written. Because we had a list of prizes that she was supposed to receive, and those obligations were met.
Those obligations was met.
Absolutely.
So she did receive everything.
I mean, and something that I want people to know, and this is for me speaking from my own personal experience, I have yet to be able to say that any one of my pageant directors gave me everything that I needed. Sponsorship is a collaborative effort. It always had been. I was personally sponsored by the management team from the Hard Rock Cafe, which was Rank America. So I was blessed completely. I never needed another but one sponsor. Like, they carried me through my entire pageant career, and I've done 5 pageants. They carried me through everything. I guess they would call that like an angel investor, an angel sponsor. I was lucky enough to have that, so I never had to ask for anything from anyone. But that doesn't normally happen. The RAS, again, they volunteered to assist with sponsorship. I made it clear that it was a collaborative effort, and they did a lot of work in terms of garnering sponsorship for Rebecca. So for that, again, I say thank you.
Correct. They did a wonderful job for their daughter, supporting their daughter.
But it's nothing that my parents didn't do for me. They were very supportive. They were always there. But I had one sponsor who was able to do everything for me. Rebecca had many. So in terms of the obligation met by the organization, we were obligated to giving her certain prizes. We met those obligations. So, there were a lot of things that didn't happen the way they were supposed to. I'd be the first to admit that. It's true. As you know, one of, as I mentioned before, our major sponsor just did not do anything he said he was going to do. And I was not prepared for that. And the rest were not prepared for that. But they stepped up. So
I have a comment from Alino Maria. Sometimes people have a way to sweet talk themselves out of the problem. What do you say to that?
I say to Mariah was one of my contestants. She wrote me the nicest letter saying she apologized for her behavior and, that she's grateful for the opportunity that she got. And Mariah she's such a sweet little endearing person, and 18 years old, very innocent, and I loved having her as a part of the pageant because, we knew that she didn't come in with all of the confidence, but you look at Mariah's pictures now, and she's smiling, she's always happy, she's more vocal, she's, I see a lot of growth in her.
Potential.
A lot of growth potential, and just, to watch the young woman that she became, and I was so grateful, like I was crying when she sent me that letter. It was really sweet of her, and I was totally unexpected, but, I was so proud of her for just being able to take that step, stepping completely out of her comfort zone, knowing that, it was like Mariah go this way, Mariah go that way, Mariah go this way, and she just, found her way after being in the pageant, and I'm really, really proud of her for doing that. And yes, the girls come in and they're not all confident. Some of them need a lot more coddling than others, but at the end of the day, you look at the results and they're on billboards, they're on commercials, they're on TV, they're doing all these things that they didn't do before.
There was, I guess, a question here, and we were going to knock on it later, and I'm going to go back to it, from Mellow Crow, who stated, how come has Bex been dethroned when she says she has not stepped down? We were going to touch on that a little bit later, but apparently the questions are coming in.
Here we go. And I said this to you before we started taping.
Correct.
I said I love my people, but they always seem to go for the negative. Why do we continuously do that? Rebecca has not been dethroned. Okay.
You hear it here,
Rebecca
ladies
has not,
and gentlemen.
there was no dethroning of Rebecca Rath. She has not been fired. She's not had her crown taken away. You know, I read so many things, and you know, I didn't expect that story to come out until Monday. But I think it was Channel 7, what did they say? Miss Enriquez drops a bomb. Come on, you guys, really? It's not like that. Belize is not going to Miss Universe in 2017.
Okay, and why is that?
Personally, I have a lot of things that I need to do for myself. And after 10 years of doing this, I really have neglected, for lack of a better word, a lot of things that I want to accomplish.
So this have absolutely nothing to do with Rebecca. Why we're not going to the 2017?
I hate to say this to Belize. I really hate to say this to Belize, but there is a life outside of pageantry. I know that sounds like news.
It's not, because I live in it.
I know that sounds like news, right? But there is life outside of pageantry, and if my boss offers me this position one more time and I turn it down, I might not have a job anymore. So I've been doing all this traveling to Belize and all this moving around that I just want to personally pay attention to putting myself in a better financial position to where we will have more to be able to provide for Miss Belize. You know, Destiny called me after Rebecca won, and she was like, well, I didn't get free flights on Maya Island Air, and I didn't get this, and I didn't get that. And the queen before Destiny, Lynn, was like, I didn't get a $25,000 scholarship. My scholarship was only $5,000. The reason why is because we try to make it better every year.
Okay.
You know, so everything that Rebecca has received the queen before her didn't get, and what Destiny received the queen before her didn't get. You know, they didn't get to go to Miss Universe. So we just try to make things better. And on that accord, it was just a decision that I made along with my committee that I need a break to do certain things, but that is still not the reason. There were several other entities that applied for the Miss Universe contract, and Miss Universe has not confirmed any of them to date. And from my understanding, or at least what was communicated to me, the deadline for applications for 2017 has passed.
Okay,
so
has nothing to
you know,
do with Rebecca.
As I mentioned to you earlier, it does not have to be me.
Correct.
Right? I'm just another person. I just do this because I love to help out. There are other parties that have applied for a contract, and none were chosen. So when we say we're not having a pageant for 2017, two reasons: we're not going to Miss Universe, and I need some much needed time off to just really handle personal affairs and deal with the life that I have to live, because outside of doing Miss Belize, I don't get a salary for this. You know, everybody that I work with either gets a salary or has some kind of fee-for-service exchange. Being a pageant director, contrary to what is believed, it's not a money-making venture. There isn't this cesspool of money for me to pay for $350 hotels in Manila, which
I was coming to that.
which I didn't even stay. That was the part of the story that I was like, wow, for real, I stayed there.
I was going to come to that about you. You're supposedly getting all this money and staying into $350 room hotel while.
Well, you know,
how do you pay to go to the Miss Universe pageant?
Right.
Out of your pocket? Or?
No, those things are sponsored. You know, I have a really good friend who is a photographer. He accompanied me to Belize. I was like, you know, there wasn't enough money in the budget for me to go to Manila, so let's just, you know, take care of Rebecca's flight and get her there. And BTB actually paid for both our flights, but at the end there wasn't enough. So what was left from there, I put towards my flight, and he paid for everything else. The hotel, ground transportation, meals. This was just a very close friend of mine, and we did not stay at that hotel. I was there every day because the soup was really good and they have tea service. But so it's like if you saw me at that hotel, I was either having soup or I was having tea. But the deductive reasoning of, and I was laughing, it's like she paid $350. I didn't even pay the $82 for the hotel I stayed in.
Oh, okay.
You know, I didn't even pay the $45 for the soup I ate. So where you got this from is just like beyond me. I find it fascinating. You know, it just didn't, and had they asked me, which I would have been totally okay with, had you asked me where I was staying, I would have said you could stay at the hotel I'm staying at because breakfast is also included.
Oh, okay.
So, you know, it's like these messages, they get crossed, and like somebody else said earlier, Rebecca is fired. She's not. Marcia Moody, who was the first runner-up, is going to represent Belize in Miss International in October.
Okay.
Marcia Moody needs to have experience going into a pageant, and you know, Rebecca knows this, Belize knows this. You can't just get up and go to an international beauty pageant. They have to see evidence of you reigning as queen. They have to see evidence of you doing charity work and making appearances.
Okay.
And it's not a dethroning of Rebecca. Rebecca is Miss Belize Universe 2016.
Okay.
We're just naming Marcia Miss Belize 2017.
Okay,
You know,
so
2017 is a new year.
Okay,
You know, if we wait and try to do a pageant in September, the pageant is in October in Japan. What were we going to do?
Less than
less than a month to get her
prepare.
there. We want to get away from doing things at the last minute. You know, lesson learned, of course. You know, over the years of doing things, we want to get away from that. We want to be progressive. We want to move forward. We want to make things better. And that is all that is happening. Nobody's being dethroned. Nobody's being stripped. It's not like that. You know, we're just appointing a Miss Belize 2017. That's all that's happening.
Then, a lot of people think that we're supposed to have been able to do this. Why didn't you do the interview in Belize? They're trying to. I've seen several people saying you didn't do this interview in Belize. They were reaching out to you. Why did you choose to do it today with us here at One-on-One with Tricia Logan?
You know what? Because I was going to wait, but I did not like what I was seeing online about Rebecca thinking that she's being stripped of her crown and she's being dethroned. And, you know, I was not comfortable with that. So I'm like, let me just get this out now and let Belize know, since people love to jump on the bandwagon, they love to make comments. Let's just clarify this now. Marcia Moody is Miss Belize 2017, Rebecca Rath is Miss Belize 2016. When 2018 comes, whether it's myself or it's another director, it's another organization, a 2018 Miss Belize will be crowned. And hopefully by then, Miss Universe will choose to have Belize back in the Miss Universe pageant. So we want to make that clear, that no, she's not being dethroned. You know, this is not an anti-Rebecca or bomb being dropped. It's nothing like that. We're just trying to be progressive. Keep Belize significant in the international arena. Rebecca did an amazing job representing our country. She did an outstanding job as queen. She's spoken at several different schools. She's done a lot of great things for Belize. And we will always honor her and commend her and recognize her for that. So, you know, it's not a bad thing. It's just we need to move forward. That's all that's happening.
I kind of like this Kadehan Tun.
Khadija.
Yeah, Khadija Tun. You know who that is?
Uh-huh.
She said, things never go as planned in this pageant world. I won Miss World 2011 and didn't get a cent or a prize to this date.
Right.
But there's a right way and a wrong way to doing these things. We live in Belize, not, I guess, let's see. We live, okay, I guess I can't read the rest of it because it's a long thing. Anyway, so basically, as she says, a lot of time things doesn't go as planned. So
that is very true. She's absolutely right. A lot of times things just don't go according to the way we plan them, and that is expected. That's expected.
And a lot of people, I'm pretty sure that a lot of people support you. I mean, a lot of people know what you go through. And as Orson Pickrut, I'm sorry for mispronouncing your name, you know, saying you might not have had a fair chance in Belize anyway, because Mr. Rutt is a big and well-known person in Belize, and apparently not responding to when he came out. Obviously, us Belizean want to know well, is she guilty of it? That's why she didn't step out or didn't respond?
Well, this is a message, and I want to make it clear. It took me a very long time to read that thing in its entirety. You know, it took a really long time, just because we do the best we can, you know. And like I said, I'm the first to admit that I'm far from perfect. You know, I do this because I love my country, because I like to see the young ladies of our country progress. I'm happy with a lot of the work that we've done, a lot of the ways we represented Belize. I'm happy with Rebecca's performance. I think she did great. But I did not want to be reactive. I did not want anything from me to be misconstrued, because let's face it, we're good at that. You know, Belizeans are good at siphoning the negative out of anything. I could say, what a beautiful blue sky, and they'll say, you want to like that sky because you blue. I mean, come on now. You know, it's just a lot of things that we do in reference to making things negative. So the last thing I wanted to do was engage in any kind of back and forth.
That's
you know?
right.
So why I hesitated to say anything is because I'm not going to react to something like that. You know, I have a tremendous amount of respect for Tony and Therese. I have a tremendous amount of respect for Rebecca and everything that she has done for Belize. And, you know, for the people that we represent on an international arena, Miss Universe doesn't like slander. They don't like drama. You know, they don't want to see one of their directors engaged in anything like that. So as a representative of them, as a representative of Belize, of myself, of our organization, we have to make sure that when I do speak, when I do say something, we want to stay positive. You know, we want to stay positive. I've got nothing bad to say about anybody at all. You know, and there are no attacks being launched. We just want to see Belize do the best that they can.
Okay.
And I've said this 100 times before. It doesn't have to be.
It doesn't have to be you. It could be anybody
You know,
that would want to step up.
Anybody that would want to step up. But it's one of those things. If it was easy, everybody would do it.
Correct.
You know, obviously, it's not a walk in the park.
Many times have you said, enough is enough, I want to quit? Or
You heard me, Tricia. You've been my friend for how many years? You know, how many times I said to you, girl, I'm over it.
Correct.
And then I get this phone call like, come on, Opal, you know, we need you. We really want you to do this. Or I would watch another pageant and I'd be like, where's Belize? And then, you know, want to make a difference. And, you know, we do the best we can. And all we can do is do it better, you know, as often as we can.
And again, we're here. We're not judging anybody. We're not saying this person, taking side for anyone. This show is all about giving everyone the opportunity to say what they feel, to speak the truth of what they believe the truth is. And I'm pretty sure, you know, he thinks his truth is his truth. You believe your truth is your truth. You know, I wish one day maybe we could all sit down and, you know, talk about it, since if this continues.
It's water under the bridge.
It's water under the bridge. You're done with this. You don't want to.
You know, we just want to move forward.
Move forward. Okay.
That's all. We just want to move forward. I'm sure Rebecca is going to be amazing at anything that she does. She's a brilliant young woman. She's beautiful. She's talented. She's smart. She has a good heart. I'm sure she's going to be amazing. I'm sure Marcia is going to be an amazing representative for Belize, and we really just want to move forward. I think that's
this
the
under
page,
the bridge. It's water under the
page
bridge
that I'm on. You know, and that's just, it's like I said, we do the best we can, and we just want to see Belize.
Yeah, there was another one. I think I'll bring up this final thing. I know you would like to at least try to clear your name on regarding this car situation that we keep hearing about. I know it's a touchy topic, but I'm pretty sure you've heard all the rumors about the car that she got and ended up had to pay for.
I'm going to be honest about that. I was never contacted regarding
regarding
that.
the car.
I was never contacted, and you know, I did reach out to Bex about it and say, just, you know, tell me how you feel about this, because I'm wondering if I should comment. And she called, and I tried calling her back a few times, so we never really made contact. I never knew what was happening with that. You know, knee deep in work, and you know, to formulate an opinion on it, it wasn't even something I had an opportunity to do. You know, not really something I had an opportunity to do. I didn't know that they took out a loan in order to get it. I knew they were having a telethon, but it's not something that I commented on because it really wasn't something I was involved in. So,
Tifara, Monique, kind of made a comment there, and it says, sorry, Opal, I'm not convinced that you mean well. I'm not quite sure what you mean by that, Monique, but if you could elaborate a little bit more to what you're trying to say. But, you know, I sincerely believe what you're saying is coming from your heart. I mean, I sat down with you before this interview, and you spoke your heart out to me. I mean, literally, tears practically coming out your eyes. And to see some of these comments that people think that you're not coming from a sincere place kind of bothers me a little. But what do you say to that?
it doesn't bother me at all, Tricia. It really doesn't bother me at all, because I think, you know, I love my people, and they will always speak their mind. You know, all I can speak is my truth.
Correct.
So it has nothing to do with anything that you know, anything opinion based. You know, I do what I do because I love doing it. And should I decide to continue to do it, again, that's my decision. But all I have to say is, you know, I love Belize. I've served Belize for a long time. I will continue to serve my country.
So you're
You know,
basically
and
not
just-
here to prove a point. You're here to tell your story.
I'm here
And-
because you called,
and I
Farron said
did.
he wanted an interview, and he's my friend,
And,
I wanted to dispel any rumors or misconceptions about what's happening in terms of Miss Belize 2016 and Miss Belize 2017. I have an obligation to Miss Universe to let Belize know that we're not sending a contestant to Miss Universe for 2017. That obligation is fulfilled. You know, we're sending somebody to Miss International. So Marcia's going to be Miss Belize 2017. We love Rebecca. She's been a great queen. She's Miss Belize 2016, and that's just the progressive movement. Again, it's not anti-anybody. It's nobody's being bashed. Nobody's being ridiculed whatsoever. We really just want to continue to move forward. That's
Well-
exactly what the intention is. And I understand, you know, people are going to vent, and attitudes are going to flare, and we're going to hear all kinds of things on the internet. And that's okay, because it's been done before, and it's not something that's going to stop now. So that's fine.
This, they said there was another contestant, a former contestant that had brought up the same complaint about you before. Is that true?
About a former winner that said something about not receiving prizes?
Correct. What about a former contestant who brought up the same complaint about not receiving their prizes?
I don't know anything about that. No, I'm not aware of that. So,
And then we also, how does a person get the right to name who the next representative is to represent Belize, the next queen, the next, how do
She
you
was
just choose someone?
she was the first runner-up from last year. And if we look at the history of pageants in Belize, there are countless times when girls have just been selected to represent Belize. Matter of fact, the reason why the Miss Belize pageant is the Miss Belize pageant is because we're the ones who do a pageant.
Correct.
So, you know, there are several there are several who have been just appointed to represent Belize. I mean, when I did Costa Maya last year, I selected, Yadira Arqueta to represent Belize, and before that I selected Somalia Vernon to represent Belize and Costa Maya. So yes, you can make a selection. How does it happen? Normally I do a casting in order to pick somebody, but this time we had a first runner-up from last year.
So
it just she was the next natural choice.
Okay.
So I hope that answers the question. It was the next natural choice.
Well, is there anything personally you want to say to our people back home, or anybody out here that believed all these things? Again, this show we're not here to take sides for anybody. Again, this show we're just giving Opal the opportunity to give her story, and anybody who wish to come up and give us their side of the story on whatever thing, that's what we're here for. We're here to support Belize. We're here to support anybody. So I don't want anybody to think that this show is about taking Opal's part or taking Rebecca's side, or we're against Rebecca. That's not what this show is all about. And Opal, before we even start the show, Opal mentioned, I don't have anything bad to say. This is just my story. A lot of things that was said was not correct, and you're here to clear your name. So this is not to bash anybody.
Right. It's not even really about. It's not even really about clearing my name,
so to speak.
It's not really about that. It's just, like I said, we just want to move forward. I don't have too much interest in anything negative. If we did, then where would we be? How would we have gotten to Miss Universe if we were interested in things that were negative? That's what's kept us out for 10 years.
And not only negativity, you don't want to get into gossiping.
Well, ain't nobody got time for that.
Right?
Really, like I said, contrary to a lot of beliefs, there is life outside of pageantry. And I just encourage everybody to live that life. There's so much to see, there's so much to do. This is only one opportunity. There's so many things for girls to get involved in. You can be in sports. Bex plays volleyball. You can go get involved in politics and charity work. You can get involved in so many things that you want to do. You don't necessarily have to do a pageant. Live your life to the fullest and be very happy.
Okay.
Georgia, because Bex made it clear that she doesn't want to do another pageant, Georgia.
Okay. She answered the question.
I hope that answers your question. I love Georgia. She's great.
Yeah.
But that's the answer to that question. And
what was the question? Because obviously you answered and nobody else know what the question was.
She wants to know, why didn't Bex get the opportunity to represent us in October? One, she made it clear that she didn't want to do another pageant. She made that abundantly clear to me on several occasions. And the other thing is, when we did the Miss Belize pageant in 2016, Marcia was supposed to represent Belize in Miss International at that time, but there wasn't enough time. So I just didn't pay attention to the contract that year. But since the opportunity is here, and make this clear, we are not going to Miss Universe in 2017. This is why that decision was made for her to go to Miss International this year.
Okay. Okay. So I hope that answered your question.
I hope that answered the question.
And what else? Let me see. There's people saying on here that basically